I get confused when people say fight because I always think like, what are we fighting about? So is arguing and fighting the same thing?
It becomes a fight with our intention. Am I angry? Am I bringing vitriol into it? Or can I fully engage in like a debate? And somebody said something to me the other day that I want to share. It had a little bit to do with argument.
Yeah.
They have a new puppy dog. And the puppy dog like just chews on
my
everything.
gosh. Yeah, it's the cutest thing.
It's pretty cute, and it can also be overwhelming
and annoying.
when it's like chewing on your feet and your ankles, and you're like, I don't want my ankles chewed on. Thank you very much. Their daughter said something that was so fascinating. She goes, are you angry or are you doing it out of a place of love? When you discipline the dog, it becomes abuse when you bring anger into it. Welcome to this week's episode of the Interracial Couple Podcast.
Where it's not all black and white. My name is Cera. I'm black.
I'm Matthew. I'm white. And today we are diving into the most enjoyable topic I can think of.
Yep. We're going to talk about what?
Is it sex?
I like talking about sex. What are you talking about?
I was being facetious when I said it's the most enjoyable topic. But it's one that people are actually like wonder about, which is like how much arguing is normal. If I get in an argument with my partner, my spouse, whatever, is that like a bad thing? Does that portend to imminent demise?
Yeah. And to what extent do like couples in a healthy relationship fight? So we do argue.
Mm-hmm.
I get confused when people say fight because I always think like, what are we fighting about? So is arguing and fighting the same thing?
I think in our general vernacular, they do get interchanged, right? Where people say, oh, I had a fight. Well, was it a fight or was it an argument? I'm going to say arguing, fighting could be. I mean, nobody throws punches, and if punches are being thrown, it's, time to seek serious help. There should never be punches thrown. And partially because, not only because it's violent and bad, but when you actually get to the point of like any type of physical altercation, it actually means that there's like no real control, right? Like control is lost because nobody wants to actually get in a real fight. But even when we kind of like back up from that in an argument, do we really want to have a heated argument?
I don't. I would rather not.
I would rather not.
Yeah. Most of the times, like there was a moment in my life where I thought, if I get into an argument, I want to win. But now when I get into an argument, sometimes it's just like, I beat myself up after that. I was like, I should not have been arguing. Like,
right. You pulled me in. Like if I feel like either you pulled me in or I let myself or I even instigated, like any way I look at it, I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it. And especially when I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it.
Do you ever do that really though? I mean, there may have been a time, but.
There's sometimes when I'm just like, what was the point of the argument? Like, I don't want to like, I don't care. I don't agree with your political view, whatever view, your world view, whatever your point of view is. It's just like,
But rarely, come on, when couples argue, rarely it's about point of view of the world. More often it would be around finances, around kids. Where are we spending our money? What kind of food are we buying? What kind of school is the kids going to go?
But I don't think like all couples like vote and like see the world in the same way.
That's true.
So this year, especially, like there's been a lot of arguments in relationship about, like, I just knew one person who broke up with their boyfriend because they were like, I literally cannot be with this person.
And which is interesting because right now, kind of the holiday season, I think can be a very stressful time for a lot of people. First of all, right now, being that we're still in a pandemic, there's financial struggle for a lot of people. If there isn't financial struggle, then there's still how do we interact with our family? What are our financial priorities for either holiday gifts or the future, things coming up? I think that's what happens as well. My cousin of mine is a divorce lawyer. And usually in January, his first post of the year after probably like a Happy New Year's, everybody kind of post will be, and it's National Divorce Month. So go ahead and get in touch. And, you're one of the first 5 people that gets in touch, I will give you a discount.
Are you kidding?
He does post it. He posts it as a joke. Um, but they come after the holidays, right? It's like things have been brewing. We're supposed to pretend like we're having a good time, or things just kind of really bubble up to a point where it just feels like it's really unbearable. I think if divorces uptick, that also means the desire to get a divorce upticks as well, even if people often don't and find a way to resolve it. Like, what are the things that are coming up into like through the end of the year, the holidays? What is it about that then leads to an aftermath of breakups, divorce, or at least the idea or consideration thereof?
So I may be getting in touch with your... We're not married.
well, that makes it much cheaper, first of all, which the other thing he says when he gets to is like about arguing, when he says when 1 or 2 people come to him for a divorce, he basically says, when we're going to get going here, either you can keep your money and pay for your kids' college education, or you can give it to me and pay for my kids' college education. It's up to you. It's how much are you actually going to continue arguing? Because when you argue on your own time, it costs you nothing. When you argue on my time, it costs you $500 an hour.
Yeah. And most couples, sometimes they do like, you know what? I don't care. I will pay the $500.
In order to try and prove a point.
Prove my point and be right.
Yes, which brings us all the way back to arguments and being right. So let's, when we argue, the things that have come up is actually, it is how we spend our money. Like, where do we want to spend our money? That's one thing.
And time.
Where do we spend our time? Right. And that's kind of even connected with chores. We talked about that as a separate thing, but...
So, let's give an example. The other day, I don't know if you remember, we had friends coming over and we had a little argument because I wanted to host, it's the pandemic, so friends can't come inside. So we've been hosting outside. I wanted to have friends at the back of our cabin. No, at the front of the cabin, because I think it's prettier. You wanted them at the back. And so we had a little argument where I was just like, who cares? Like, I was just like, I wanted to insist that we were going to do it in the front. Like, I was like, it's prettier, it's nicer, their kids can play in the front yard. And you were like, no, I think we should do it in the backyard. And the friends were like 5 minutes away. So I went to the room, took a deep breath, and I was like, you know what? The friends just want to see us. They don't care if we host them in the front yard, whether we host them in the backyard. And I was just like, I just let it go. But what was amazing about it was like 5 minutes before they arrived, I was so annoyed with you. And this is a relationship adulting skill I think that I'm developing. I just showed up outside after taking the deep breath, and I was just like really happy to see our friends. Like, I dropped the argument, but I also think it's because I had dropped my point of view of where I wanted to be. I wasn't married any longer to like, it would be nice if it's the front yard. I was just like, I'm just happy they're here.
Yeah. And what usually I think happens is that neither of us actually, I think one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of arguments is that when one person generally feels stronger about something, the other one just kind of lets it go. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, generally, I think for a lot of things, you feel stronger than I do. But when I feel strongly about it, it's well known. It's not a secret. And so that was kind of at a place where I think if that was a conversation that had come up 3 hours beforehand, we probably would have talked about it and said, well, what can we do? There were reasons why I wanted to be in the back versus the front. Small thing, but it was at the last moment, they just texted, they're 5 minutes away. And we weren't quite ready. And so that then ended up kind of playing into this, oh my gosh, they're going to be here any second. It didn't even matter. They could have shown up and we could have said, we're going to, give us 5. We're going to figure out where we're going to put chairs or whatever. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But I think that type of thing is fairly common, and sometimes, I also know that because we don't argue very often and because things don't matter to me as much, I'm pretty easygoing. I think you'd probably agree with that.
I agree with that.
That when I almost feel like I bank up sort of the privilege of being able to do it my way when I really want to, because in general I don't. And I don't think that's actually true, but I don't think that's a good place for me to come from. But I think it does contribute to like an argument.
I do think like, because you ask for so little in the relationship, like you don't, like you're very easygoing. Like you can just be like, this is what we're doing. Okay. But when you want it to be done your way, you always kind of feel like, but I never get it done my way.
Yeah, that's not a terribly good place to operate from.
Yeah.
And it can certainly lead to arguments, which are understandable, because you'd be like, well, you never push back on the other thing, so why do I have to this time?
Yeah, but also it's like sometimes it's like I also have to be like, you know what? He doesn't ask for much. I don't care.
Yeah.
For this, it's not like I don't care. It's just like, it's not a big deal.
Right.
I can compromise.
Well, when you look at it that way, the reality is many things actually aren't that big of a deal. And I kind of want to go back because we mentioned briefly about money. And I think something came up the other day about where we're going to spend money. And I felt like so often I know the way I operate with money, and I don't know if I'm the best person at making it, but when I've got it, I'm pretty good at budgeting and keeping it. And so, when I look at it when I kind of look at that and I say, okay, well, I'm pretty good at this and I have a way I like to do it. I've been doing it this way for many years before I met you. Why should I change that? And I can look to reasons why the way I do it is maybe better than you do in some of those circumstances. However, the other side of that is that, like, even if I was as rich as Jeff Bezos, it wouldn't actually matter, because health doesn't necessarily take on one look. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you have a healthy relationship with money. And just because you have very little doesn't mean you have an unhealthy relationship with money. Your relationship with money is simply your relationship with money. And I know that mine can improve. So when this thing came up about spending, I thought, you know what? I may not agree with that, but at the end of the day, I don't know if I can kind of look and see what that is going to cost us over the course of the year. So what? Let's try it that way. And maybe it's even a big hit. But you know what? In my mid-40s, I've made it this far. I've never really been hungry. I've never really been homeless. I've been just fine. So why do I have to hold on to the way that I do it as somehow being this really great thing? I don't know if it is that great. If it was that great, like, I would never be in an argument. It would be very simple. I'd be like, it is just this great because I said so. And my entire self-centeredness, perfect, bank account, perfect vehicle, perfect harmony with everyone in my life. And then I would be Buddha and people would be coming to worship me. But I'm not that. I've got lots to learn. And even when I think I'm right, if I let it go and I try something else out, I might find either your way was better, or by letting it go, we can actually find something that works beautifully for both of us.
Yeah. And I think looking for in terms of money, I think we've come to a really healthy relationship as a couple with money. I don't think I had a healthy relationship with money. Neither did you.
I did not.
You did not. But I think because we're bringing my way and your ways together, I think it's even better. Right. I used to be one of the person who's I want to make more money so I don't have to pay attention to whatever is in my bank account, because I just want it to be a lot. But that's not how you run a business. I am a business owner, and at times it means, not at times, most of the times, all the time, it means counting to the penny. A penny can make a difference. And I just never used to think in those terms. I would be approximate, it's between $2 and $3. Not a big deal,
Which then you scale it up. It's between 200 and 300, and that's between 2,000 and 3,000. And then it starts actually making a big difference.
It does make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. There was I remember when we actually, when it hit me, is we went through this one product that I was selling, and over the course of the year, I was I thought I was making more money than I was actually making, because I was missing 20 cents.
Right. And when you add up 20 cents on a low cost item, over time, this was 20 cents and this was 20 cents. And now that's 40 cents per item. And at what point is it actually worth the effort? And how many are you actually selling? It all becomes a game of, economy of scale and that type of thing. But those things become really important. And when you measure everything, right? Because you'd be like, if you don't count everything that goes into the cost of acquiring, shipping, packaging products, every little thing impacts that final number, and whether or not at the end of the day it's worth it. And I think one of the things it came down to is once all those little numbers were added up, it was like, wait, that wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it was not worth my time. Like, I was making a little bit of money, but I had to look at it like, do I want to keep investing in this product? And I think I've become a better business owner being with you.